What's going on, everybody? It's Sebastian. Welcome back to the Fulcrum Report. Please remember to drop a like on the channel, subscribe, comment below. We love Star Wars just as much as you do, and we'd love to talk with you. And please hit that little bell icon. Without further ado, the Fulcrum Report.
Woo! 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 Woo!
Cool. So let's welcome back Gilbert.
What's up, guys? Glad to be back for the fourth time?
Yep, fourth time. I keep track. So, Marshall, what's going on? Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me back for the third time. I'm honored.
Right on. Yeah, no, we didn't have you on last week, so we're excited to have you on this week, and we're going to actually talk a little bit special with you and our man Harrison.
Hey there. Hey there. Hey there. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Harrison? It's good to hear you again.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I've done the dishes. So, my Sunday night's finished.
Back in the cupboard, Harrison.
Yep. So, cool. So now that we have Marshall and Harrison back this week, we didn't get to talk Clone Wars with you guys. Did you guys get to see that news?
The return of Clone Wars.
What you've posted.
Yeah, the return of Clone Wars. And then,
oh, yes.
Now, you guys aren't extreme fans of the Clone Wars series, or you just haven't gotten into it, but does this look like it might rope you in? Do you think you'll maybe catch up a little bit and get into the series now that you have a new reason?
Yeah, I saw the trailer and it looked really good, so I think I'm definitely going to check it out when it comes out.
Yeah, and you got the rest of them to catch up on. Do you think you're going to brush up on some previous episodes and maybe?
Yeah, definitely. I'll watch them all before the new one comes out, 100%.
Cool. And then what about you, Harrison?
Yeah, probably, yeah. I'm a lot more connected online to people now than I was when old Clone Wars was coming out. So I imagine I'll see a lot more people talking about it and pestering me and telling me how great it is. So I'll probably get more of a push than I did last time.
Hey, Gilbert, so for people that haven't seen the Clone Wars, do you have any particular way you suggest watching it? Do you say just go through them all, or there's some arcs that you definitely say pay attention to and some you could cut out?
Well, I would definitely say the Domino Squad. Definitely pay attention to them. You know, Heavy, Echo, Fives, because those episodes are always awesome. You can never really go wrong with any episodes that involve Obi-Wan or Anakin and Ahsoka, and avoid the Jar Jar Binks episodes. They're pointless. They're just they're throwaway episodes. You don't need them. And I guess if you're not really into the droids either, you can throw away those ones too. But I mean, for the most part, the show's it's pretty good. I like it. Most of the episodes are solid.
So, Gilbert, you finished the series, correct?
Yes, I have.
Okay, and I've finished the series. So for those who haven't really cracked into the series, why is this a great show? If I'm asking the question properly, why is this a good show? Why should those who haven't been into the Clone Wars get into the Clone Wars and add this whole piece of canon on top of Star Wars as they know it?
Well, for those of you who didn't enjoy the prequel trilogy, I know a lot of people who were just instantly turned off to Star Wars the second they saw Jake Lloyd be like, "Now this is Potterate." Yeah, so that most people are not into that. So I'm like, but if you wanted to at least give it a chance and you're interested in the that era of Star Wars, then it kind of gives you a little bit of an extra story. It kind of gives you it's just character development. It's really and it's just like I said, it's solid stuff. It really holds up a lot better than the actual prequel trilogy does.
Yeah, no, it's a great show, and even if you dig the stuff from the prequel trilogy, I was born around that time, right before they came out, so I got to see all of them fresh in the theaters. I enjoyed them as a child, and I still have those fond memories. So I love the prequels. For all the good that they have in them, and then so you take all the good stuff from that, you get the Darth Maul and the clone troopers and all that stuff, and the Jedi, and just pontificate upon that times 100, and that's the Clone Wars. So if you're into all the fun stuff from the prequels, it's just that times 100.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so Marshall and Harrison, that's your homework for next week. You got to binge the Clone Wars.
I'll watch it at work.
I got a little question about that for people who don't know about the Clone Wars. I'm looking at it. There's because I do remember when it came. Well, I remember when the old 2D thing came out. So is that the same? Because that's Star Wars Clone Wars, and then there's Star Wars The Clone Wars.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Right.
Because the characters such as Asajj Ventress, who shows up a lot in the Clone Wars animation, she was first introduced in that show, and as was General Grievous. Like, a lot of what you see in current Clone Wars was given to us from that show. But that thing was only given to you in between episodes of other cartoons. It was only like a 5-minute thing that you would see.
Yeah, they're just like quick little 3-minute vignettes and kind of
it
was cool though. I dug it.
Yeah, it's real awesome.
Yeah, if you like Samurai Jack and Star Wars, boom.
But it's kind of canon, kind of not. It just depends on how you feel about it.
Yeah.
So where
I'd
does,
say definitely, you know, for my personal opinion, definitely, I think it's only 2 hours to watch the whole thing. It connects really well to episode 3, actually. So if you didn't have the Clone Wars animated series and you just had this cartoon, it connects quite nicely. And Gilbert, I don't know if you agree with me on that.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, they make sure to get everything pretty wrapped up and good to go for Revenge of the Sith. So.
Now, if this new season does a sacking of Coruscant episode, then no, it's not. It's going to be completely written away. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm totally hoping that maybe they kind of bring a little bit into that and kind of. I want the Coruscant episode. So, all right, let's get on to the next subject. We have the new Star Wars cast has officially been announced for episode 9. Woo!
Maybe woo.
Maybe woo. Okay, so we're going to talk about it. So I got the important ones up here. Daisy Ridley, Rey, she's back. We have John Boyega as Finn. And then we have Oscar Isaac for Poe. And then we also have Billy D. Williams, our man from the first episode, returning back. And then Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. So we can get into that a little bit in a second. And Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher, is going to make a return. So, yeah, they're pulling some strings with that also. So we're going to talk about that. Let's start with Harrison. Do you have any first thoughts on the casting release?
I mean, like everyone, as soon as I hear that Carrie Fisher thing, I'm a bit kind of really unsure. I was reading a little bit about it, and I get what J.J. Abrams is saying, because he, you know, like they said, it wouldn't be a satisfying end if Leia wasn't in it. And, like, if you didn't know Carrie Fisher was dead, yeah, you'd feel pretty ripped off without Leia being there. But this whole thing of, it's footage we recorded years ago and we're going to make it work to this, I question how well that's going to work.
Do you think it's going to be Frankenstein-y a bit in the fact that, like, they're making it work and you're going to be able to see that? Or do you feel like it's going to be completely smooth, ready to go?
Yeah, I don't know. Filming is so much better than it was, and, you know, you can do loads of great workarounds. But in terms of, like, if the dialogue and stuff that they have filmed of her doesn't fit in with anything else, they're going to have had to have crowbarred that in and, you know, rearranged everything else around it. Either that or it's going to be so vague it'll be meaningless, and I'm not sure why they'd bother.
Let's go to Marshall. What do you think about the whole Leia situation? How do you think they're going to...
As Harrison said, they're using old footage, so the new episode 9 is going to have to be written around what they've already filmed. So I think the original plan for episode 9 has probably changed, and I hope they don't do a Rogue One and just CGI parts of her just to somehow fit it in. But
yeah, those weird like floating heads and shit that you get.
Yeah, but I think they're really going to play the emotional angle, especially with Mark Hamill in it as well.
Do you think we'll see her death in this movie? Or do you think they're going to just have her say something blah, blah, blah over here and then just her fall into the background?
That's the thing, because they haven't filmed a death scene as far as we know, because it's old footage from the last film. So I don't know how they're going to kill her off in the film. They're either going to CGI her and we're going to see her die, or we're not going to see it. You know, I can't see a positive in either one of those, to be honest.
What are you thinking, Gilbert?
Well, If I had to guess, they're probably going to do it the same way or a similar way that they did it to episode 7 or episode 8. Excuse me. When Admiral Holdo, when she goes and does the whole suicide mission to attack Snoke's ship, because we didn't actually see her die, we just saw her ship crash into the other ship, and then it's just kind of implied that of course she's dead.
Cool.
I mean,
so
I feel like that's what we're going to see with Leia.
A seat or a throne around her. Some control panels around her. She can be giving her final speech, and then we can light speed her into a...
Basically. Or like Kylo Ren will finally be like, you know what, screw this, I'm done. And he'll do what he didn't do in the last movie.
Kaboom the room, whatever room she's in, for good.
Exactly. I feel like the reason they didn't do it there is because they had a lot more footage to work with. So they didn't want to cheat people out of a lot more of the Leia scene. So... now I feel like they're just going to be like, nope, screw it, she's gone. And anything we see is probably going to be just like flashbacks of like that Kylo Ren's having or something like that. I don't know.
I thought it would.
Like I would prefer that. I'd prefer flashbacks.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, or maybe like even holographic diaries, because I don't know what footage they have exactly of her filmed. I have to do a bit more research.
They've been real hush-hush about it.
Yeah, I don't know what they have of her exactly. What do you think, Marshall? What scenes are laying around of Carrie Fisher from Force Awakens that can be shoehorned into this movie?
I think it could be like more time spent with Luke, maybe, or somehow something related to Kylo. And so I really don't know, but my top answer would be something to do with Luke, like a scene filmed with him.
Yeah, and there could have been some.
Yeah, maybe they were thinking of putting it in the deleted scenes for the Blu-ray, but obviously because she passed away, they saved that footage instead. I don't know.
Yeah, and Rogue One actually did something kind of neat where they took a couple X-Wing pilots and they used original footage from the first Star Wars movie that didn't get used, and they fit that into Rogue One quite nicely, where I didn't even notice that till the very end. What were you going to say, Gilbert? Yeah.
Well, no, I was agreeing that they did that, and I barely noticed it. It's just like you can kind of tell the quality of today's cameras versus like the quality of back then. Like I could only just barely tell it, but they transitioned it in really, really well. That was beautiful.
Yeah, and that worked really quite nicely. So hopefully they have footage of Carrie Fisher saying just the right things. Maybe they sat her down for like 3 hours and just had her get out some extra additional stuff just in case. Maybe I don't know if they were planning it for anything, but who knows what
we'll have to see.
Yeah, Disney blow our minds. Okay, let's talk about Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's coming back, Harrison. What are we doing with Mark Hamill in this movie?
Surely a Force Ghost.
Force Ghost?
Yep.
Oh, I mean,
surely.
There's no other way.
He died.
Like, I don't know.
Does it?
Maybe it'll be some sort of great Force Ghost where like he'll turn up and just like be like a real badass about it. I don't know, like, because all the Force Ghosts are quite nice, but maybe he'll just turn up to like Kylo Ren and be, stop being a dick.
We can only hope.
Or bring lightning down upon Kylo Ren like Yoda done to that tree.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Marshall, because we can talk about a couple of things. What's to stop Yoda from showing up and just causing devastation on the First Order? What's to stop Luke Skywalker from showing up and just ending it all? We don't really have 100% like rules on how the science of the Force stuff works, but we know how Obi-Wan kind of works, and then we know a little bit how Yoda works. How do we think maybe Luke Skywalker is going to be used in this as a Force Ghost then, if we all think he's coming back as a Force Ghost?
Well, I think that scene with Yoda in the last one bringing down the lightning kind of threw a lot of people off, because I didn't know that they could do that.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
And a lot of other people didn't know either, so it's like, what else can they do? Like, they could go anywhere with it, I suppose.
I'm kind of hoping that like when Luke turns up, both him and his hand are separate ghosts. So like you could have like Luke doing something,
what?
And then his hand's gonna go around like the thing from the Addams Family and just start like slapping people.
Yeah.
So Luke Skywalker's hand has been a ghost this whole time.
I mean, it disappeared with him.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, where did that metal hand go?
Yet his cloak stayed behind.
Yeah.
It wouldn't look as cool if his hands went dunk. It wouldn't have looked as cool.
Or when Darth Vader died, if he kind of like deflated in his suit and there's just like his hands kind of there and maybe some like fake heart and breathing stuff just laying inside of a flat suit.
Yeah, right. It wouldn't have looked as cool.
No. So, another thing that I kind of realized with the casting announcement, and then we're going back all the way to the Fulcrum Report episode 1. No, or actually, I think we talked about it in episode 2, but Kerry Russell, she's not anywhere mentioned here, and that was who we were kind of thinking would be Ray's mom. Do you think that was all flooey, or?
Oh man,
I made up a word there, I guess. Fooey, there we go, fooey.
It was a cunning ruse.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're just trying to downplay it a little bit because they know that people are going to be, speculating constantly. Like, I mean, look at what we're doing right now.
I know, we just talked about Leia and Luke for
So yeah, like, I mean, it makes sense that they're kind of just like, they put out one little bit of information and then just kind of pull away and be like, all right, let them draw their own conclusions and then we'll surprise them with something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Something that I'm also kind of looking out for, how Del Toro was announced as a character, and we all speculated, oh my god, he's going to be a Dark Jedi, or he's going to be a Sith, or he's going to be a rival to Kylo Ren. And then the more we found out about him, he was DJ, and he was a slicer, and blah, 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 and he was a criminal and a crook or whatever, and a kind of a smuggler type character. And then when we actually saw him in the movie, he played a very small role. Does anybody think that this might be another one of those things where we talk about Kerry Russell for 3 hours and then we find out that she only has 5 minutes of screen time and she's a rebel officer in the background?
I hope not. That would really suck. But I mean, I guess I wouldn't be surprised if they did that.
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah.
Or do you think they're totally keeping it hush hush? And she is going to be something, or I'm going to show up as a wacky alien for 2 minutes and give you a map to a secret planet, and then we're going to...
Well,
as
we said before, we're not even sure if she is going to be a human,
Yeah. We don't even know. She may not even be in the movie anymore. All this...
Actually, real quick, I want to talk about this is...
Go for it.
One person who's definitely not mentioned in the movie is Gwendolyn Christie. And that's...
Yeah.
I find that extremely surprising that, Phasma's not going to be... Or at least they haven't announced that she's going to be returning in the movie. Which I feel really ripped off about. I'm like, what the heck, man?
I agree with you.
We get 2 times.
Okay, because me personally, I agree that she had a short time in The Force Awakens. I agree that she had a short time in The Last Jedi. I'm like one of those fans that just... I mean, I think she's a cool-looking, Boba Fett type character. So...
but much like Boba Fett, she went out like a punk.
Yeah.
Not once, but twice.
Yeah, I think that was intentional as, a nod to Boba Fett.
I don't
know. Yeah.
Why would you do that? That's I literally watched Return of the Jedi last night, and, he goes out like a punk, and it's like...
Yeah, because everyone loved him so much and we wanted to see more. But it was the same with Phasma, and then they just got rid of it the same way.
Yeah, all of both of those characters, all of their badassness is completely implied. I mean, unless you watch... with Boba Fett, if you watch the Clone Wars, there's a few episodes with him in it, but still, most of his badassness is implied.
It never shown.
I can't wait for the future expanded universe stuff to have Captain Phasma crawl out of the hole of the the destroyed. Yeah, exactly. 30 years later, team up with Rey and Finn's kids, and
oh god,
gone.
No, boo, no.
Did they go and turn her into a robot spider like they did with Darth Maul?
They were like, oh my god, everyone loved him, but we killed him off. How can we bring him back? I know, spider legs. Perfect.
Yeah. I mean,
I like the fact they stopped just short of putting flame decals on his spider legs. We need to make this guy cooler. He's got spider legs, but it's not good enough.
All right, next topic. So I'm going to talk about this for a couple seconds, and then we'll get into the meat of the conversation. Rian Johnson, we're all aware he's coming back with the trilogy. Or at least hopefully, or maybe in somebody's opinion, hopefully not. But as of now, the trilogy is still coming. There was a report a while back, I believe it was maybe 6 months back, that there were some leaks about it. And they said that the new Thrawn novel would actually lay some grounds for the new Rian Johnson trilogy. They say it would be about the Chiss versus the Yuzong Vong from the Legends material. And basically it'd be 1,000 years back, all-out war. So I kept that in the back of my head, and I was like, okay, so when the new Thrawn novel comes out, let me just see if this rumor has anything about it that might be true. And there was something that popped out to me in the new Thrawn novel. So Grand Admiral Thrawn, he is the Chiss descendancy. And apparently Chiss, back in the olden days, when they were young children, they used to be force sensitive, and then as they grew into maturity, they lost their force sensitivity. But young force sensitive Chiss children would be called Skywalkers. Does anybody think anything's fishy about that?
I don't recognize the name.
Yeah.
So Chiss, Grand Admiral Thrawn, we're all familiar with him. So now we can totally white it back out a little bit. Grand Admiral Thrawn, his species, the Chiss, the blue-skinned, red-eyed people. I guess there's, now that a lot of the Legends material has been wiped out, there's not a whole bunch on them anymore. So now they're kind of creating more new material, and this is a whole new kind of little piece of something that popped up. Young Chiss force sensitives were named Skywalkers. Do you think, if this is a 1,000-year prequel, do you think eventually it might show how Skywalker became Skywalker? Maybe the prophecy? Do you guys want to talk about that a little bit?
It definitely, I mean, it feels like that's not going to be by accident. I mean, come on, that name and are you kidding me? But it definitely feels like it's not coincidental. But
and I know we have nothing to work with, but if you want to maybe give a bit of speculation on how you think that might kind of lead into a something.
I honestly, I'm not really that sure, because it seems like it could be kind of a way of explaining how the Skywalker line started, but that wouldn't really make sense as far as episode 1, where it kind of does the whole, he was just conceived by the midichlorians, whatever, unless they want to just completely write that away and say, you know what, no, screw all that. He did have a father, it's just...
Yeah.
I
don't
know.
Like, just...
So, yeah, basically what the original report was, they said that the new Rian Johnson trilogy would take everything that everybody liked about the Legends and kind of rework them into the new Star Wars canon. So how do you think they might use a little bit of this, Harrison, to kind of...
Could go either way. It could be one of those things where, you know, it could be something really like, it would be the actual lineage of the Skywalker family, and, like, you know, there will be this whole alien bloodline on it. Or it could just be a thing of, you know, it's like 1,000 years ago, that it's just, that's how language developed. And like one time, you know, a Chiss person saw a Force-sensitive human and went, oh, it's a Skywalker. And then humans just started calling all the Force-sensitive people Skywalker, and they took that on. And then eventually, enough of them, these Force-sensitive people had babies, they created a family, they used it as a surname, and then you get the Skywalker clan. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
No, absolutely. You got 1,000 years to work with, so you could do so much.
Yeah, and I don't think I've really heard much about, like, species breeding in Star Wars. I mean, you know, I'm sure it happens, but I haven't seen much about it. And it's not like other sci-fi things where, like, no, this definitely happens, like Star Trek does. I don't know. It doesn't feel like Star Wars to be, oh, yeah, at some point, you know, these two aliens bumped uglies.
Marshall, are you familiar with any of the Star Wars Legends material before the big mouse came by and whacked it away with his giant hammer?
Unfortunately, I'm not, no.
Okay, good. Then Disney's creating stuff just for you.
Yes, everything's new to
clean
me.
Slate.
So.
Absolutely clean slate.
Yep.
They can't screw it up because we don't know what they're working with.
Yeah. And then if the rumors are true, and we do have a bit of Legends bleeding into, and we already see the results of that from Legends bleeding into the Clone Wars, into Rebels. So, yeah, I can see definitely some... I don't know. I'm going to keep an eye on that. That's my Fulcrum Report helicopter eye, keeping it a nice close watch on this story, because it's just a little bit here and there, but the rumor sounded pretty good, so I wanted to dive deeper, and I am finding some more evidence. So, maybe I'll go back to that again periodically and kind of see if any of the new stuff coming out. Cool. Yeah. Let's talk about a little bit about Star Wars comics, since we are all Star Wars comic fans and we do the voice dubs here on the channel. We have some new comics coming out. Darth Vader's Castle. That sounds pretty rad. Or I don't know what the official title is, but there's a new, I think they're doing a 2-issue maybe, or it's a mini series. Gilbert, do you know anything about that one?
I've been I just checked it out, literally just now, and
thank you.
Apparently a tweet from Charles Soule says that it's going to be called Fortress Vader.
Fortress Vader, cool.
Thank you. The picture that I'm looking at, it looks just like what we saw in Rogue One, that where he was chilling out in the Bacta tank, you know what I mean?
Do you think this will maybe tie into the recent Darth Vader run that they got going on right now? Because that's set in between 3 and 4, and the castle has to be built between 3 and 4 at least, so do you think...
Oh, of course. I can't imagine it wouldn't be, but it's probably going to be, if I had to guess, it might be kind of early after Episode 3 or maybe around the Rebels era. I don't know. It would make sense for it to be in any of those areas because just with the fact that we know that it was in Rogue One, it's confirmed that it was around that time. So
yeah,
it's kind of up in the air.
Harrison, what do you want from a Darth Vader comic? There's some cool stuff about the lore about his castle, and maybe even what more answers that you would like answered. What do you want reading this comic?
I don't know. I'm a bit boring. I'm just always happy to just have Darth Vader being a badass.
So maybe you would enjoy a story of somebody trying to storm Darth Vader's castle.
Yeah, just anything like that. I mean, just he's just or something like
ex-Jedi, perhaps, people who know that Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah,
I don't know. That'd be kind of
cool.
Like Asylum,
Mace
right?
like Mace Windu, maybe.
That'd be cool.
I know, we're always trying to fit him back into. And then what's the YouTube channel? He's trying to make the Darth Vader fan movie. You know who I'm talking about? What's his Star Wars theory. So I don't know. I want to give support to him. I'm totally down for people wanting to do the stuff they love. So
but shout out to Star Wars.
Yeah,
theory.
so
awesome.
I think he's even trying to squeeze Mace Windu in there. So when do you think though, Harrison? Do you think they'll ever squeeze Mace Windu into something, or if anything ever, or is he just gone?
I don't know. It feels like why would you waste the Samuel Jackson Jedi? It's sitting there. It's I've just got the most badass thing I can think of. I've got the most badass actor, and I've given him magic powers and a giant lightning sword. But I don't know. They have a habit of wasting cool stuff in Star Wars.
Yeah, I was just thinking that as you were talking about that giant laser sword. It's the only purple one in the films, and he's supposed to be one of the only grey Jedi between light and dark, and I think it was a waste throwing him out of a window. Thanks, Harrison Palpatine.
Did any of you guys read the recent Mace Windu comic? I capped up a teeny bit with it, but I never got to finish it. I know that was set in, I think, during the Clone Wars, actually, and maybe a bit prequel to Phantom Menace, but did you guys get to read any of that?
No, unfortunately, no.
I read a couple issues. It wasn't terrible. I mean, I never really was big on Mace Windu as a character himself. I thought he was cool, but he was never my favorite. I was always Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Yoda. Yoda has always been my favorite Jedi. So,
for me, I find that I tend to, I'll especially read a comic if I feel like it's going to tell a bit more about that character, so and I don't need those gritty of details, but I don't know, I feel like a Mace Windu comic comes out and I pick that up, I want to, by the end of that 5-issue series, I want to know more about Mace Windu, and for what I checked out, I didn't seem to have a whole bunch of that. I don't know if you feel it, if you're with me, Gilbert, on that one. There's a bit of stuff, but nothing that really, I don't know.
I mean,
they didn't even talk about his purple lightsaber, really, did they?
No, they didn't. They never really explained.
See, they blew it.
They never explained why he has that.
Yeah, because the Darth Vader comic went on to the. Did you guys read the Darth Vader comic yet? The
Or have you at least watched the videos on our
yeah,
channel?
have you done the channel? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I have sure.
Well, that was convincing.
We have analytics, Marshall.
What am I, an actor?
So in the Darth Vader comic, there was this scene where they actually not just a scene, but a whole arc of basically Darth Vader getting his crystal, bleeding it red. I didn't need the origin story for Darth Vader's red lightsaber, but it was rad to have it. It's such an iconic piece. So for them to go into the Mace Windu comic and totally lay him out on that, and then I'm not being mean, but to totally glance over at it, I guess. Did you feel like that's something that fans kind of like to know if we're getting an additional story about a character? Harrison?
When you were talking, something came into my head, and I was like, because considering that Disney owns everything now, we can have all the crossover universes we want. So I'm hoping that something to do with a purple lightsaber is linked to the heart-shaped flower from Black Panther. So if Mace Windu is the Black Panther...
No more of this
And
nonsense.
that's why Thanos is purple.
No more of this nonsense of mixing Marvel and Star Wars. I don't want that.
I
If we have an
remember.
Avengers-
Lightsaber.
If we have Jedi in the Avengers, then I quit.
His lightsaber is purple because it's made from Thanos' skin. Like a fragment turned into a lightsaber.
Only half of it, though.
It's bad enough that we have E.T. in Star Wars. We don't need any more of those stupid little connections that, oh, look at that. Like, no. None of it.
But Gilbert, the guy that built Thor's hammer, could make the hilt for Mace Windu.
Yeah, and as cool as that is, as much as I would love to see Peter Dinklage in there, no.
Get this man a purple lightsaber.
Oh my god. That brings up a whole nother issue. Can the heart-shaped herb lightsaber penetrate the vibranium Captain America shield?
I think this is a conversation for a different kind of nerd.
That's
we are
a
Star
whole
Wars
nother
only.
podcast.
God.
I'm sure so we're gonna get some more news trickling out this week, I'm sure, and we'll get some more rumors. And the cool thing about this show is I'm always afraid, because I'll be sitting there throughout the week just kind of keeping up on my Star Wars news, and it'll kind of be a slow week, and I'm like, oh no, what am I going to talk about for the Fulcrum Report? And then boom, cast for Star Wars will come out, or boom, Clone Wars will come out. So I know Lucasfilm, you're listening, so please give us some good material for next week's talk. All right. Real quick question, and then we're gonna say our goodbyes for this week. But I know the main Star Wars series is actually, I believe, coming to a close. Gilbert, the main series, issue 50. I think that's gonna be the final one. Am I correct on that? If not, I know it is at least going to be the episode that kind of connects into The Empire Strikes Back. I think they're going to finally, how this is bridging A New Hope to the Empire. So Marshall and then Harrison, after that Star Wars kind of goes bye-bye, what main Star Wars story would you like in the Star Wars comic universe? Kind of a new piece of something to pick up on, a corner of the world that you would like answers to.
I kind of like the idea of maybe something like, to do with Jabba and all the bounty hunters and the Hutt family kind of thing. I think that'd be really cool.
Would you do that more of a one shot, or could you Marshall stretch 50 issues out of a Jabba the Hutt series?
Well, that's interesting.
I could give it a good go, but probably not.
I bet you can make that into a Game of Thrones style kind of drama, where it's all just intrigue and murders and backstabbing and all that.
It could be like Godfather, / Game of Thrones kind of.
Yeah, how the Hutt family became so powerful.
I want to see like the different families too, like kind of how they touched on in the Clone Wars, but like just go way into it. Had like the Lannisters and the
Oh god, no!
Little tiny Jabbas and
Yeah, so I actually found some interesting information on this.
Go for it, Gilbert.
It seems like I can't seem to find any information about it being the last issue.
Okay.
But it does seem to say the verdict is it's taking a kind of a dark turn, as it like they're promising it to be one of the most dramatic story arcs to date. Which, I mean, in Star Wars that says a lot, because the whole thing is dramatic. So, but then also it seems to be it's going to be focusing a little bit more on Vader and also I guess his relationship with General Veers. So I don't know. It seems like it's going to be. I'm interested to learn a little more about Vader. I mean, I'm sure
so it's not coming
is.
to a close, but we're kind of getting an end to the current thing, and it's going to
going to take a different. It's going to take a different turn and start doing a different thing. You know, I mean, it's going to have like a different tone for the rest of it.
Thank you, Gilbert. I should do my research a little bit.
Just a little fun thing. Apparently, the name of the issue is "Hope Dies." So take from that what you will. I'm expecting a grim story. Myself,
I'm expecting them to put everybody into the Matrix and it be an alternate universe of the first Star Wars movie.
Of course you are.
With Jedi.
And then they rip them out at the end, and you find out it's an Empire experiment, and they're trying to find out secrets, and and that's how they find Echo Base. There you go. It's writing itself.
Yeah, all the Avengers show up as well.
I see Gilbert. He's just like,
all right. Let's
stop.
All right, I think that's the perfect place to bring this to an end.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you agree?
I could feel your pain then, Gilbert. Sorry.
All right, cool. So, Gilbert, we're gonna exit out with you first. Do you have any updates on the Obi Anakin comic? Anything you want to give an update on for future projects or anything you want to plug in?
Yes. Issue 3 has been completed, I believe, and this is the issue that actually has Marshall in it. So we finally get to see him.
My one line.
It's finally worth listening to.
It should be coming out, I believe, next week. Next Saturday.
Cool.
Nice.
Good job. And then straight to work on the next one then?
Yes, I believe so. I mean, I've been taking a couple days off, but yeah, come tomorrow, I'm going to start right back on it again.
Cool. Thank you, Gilbert, for being on the show.
Yep.
Marshall, thank you so much for being on the show again. Do you want to give your last thoughts, any plugs, anything you're working on? You're going to be at episode 3.
Yes, me and my one line are going to be in episode 3, so all aboard the hype train. Yeah, thank you, Gilbert.
And you're playing Plandris' bodyguard, correct?
That's right.
Yes, I remember to get that correct. Thank you, Marshall, for being on the show.
Thank you, as always.
Cool.
Thank you.
And then Harrison, thank you so much again for being on the show. Do you got any last any plugs? Anything you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I would. I'm part of a project that's really big, really ambitious. It's called Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones fan dub. And it's as it sounds. They are dubbing all of the dialogue for the game Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones. Just search that on YouTube, you'll go find it. An episode dropped this week that I'm in. I'm playing General Dussel, and it's going to be going on for basically the rest of the year. They're a bunch of really great guys, and they're doing a huge piece of work.
Cool.
Nice.
Right on. I look forward to checking that out. And cool. Thank you guys so much again for being on the show. And then for all you who have made it to the end of the show, thank you so much. Please drop a like on the channel if you like what you heard. Press the subscribe button to get our videos on the regular. Comment below. We love Star Wars just as much as you guys. I want to bring you guys a little bit more into it, so I'm thinking about having some questions for you guys next week. So, and then press that bell icon to get updates on our new videos. So right when the Fulcrum Report pops up, it'll pop right into your little notifications tray. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for listening to Fulcrum Report. This is Sebastian signing off. You can follow me at Rev and Winter Soldier on Instagram. Have a good one. Bye. Come on, Gilbert.
I refuse. That sounds like the worst thing we could do.
No,
I mean,
know.
it was already kind of a bad idea giving Darth Maul the whole spider legs thing, but let's go ahead and do that to Phasma. That's a good idea. No.
Only on the Fulcrum Report.